of Micronesia. Ranging far, sweeping wide, American warships venture deep into the Central Pacific. Bigger, faster, mightier carriers are the core of the task force destined to destroy the Japanese Empire. Around the carriers, the battleships are ringed. Around the battleships, the cruisers. Around the cruisers, destroyers. It is autumn, 1943. Radically new tactics are the United States Navy's answer to the challenge of World War II. The immediate targets are the Gilbert and Marshall Islands, scattered for 1,000 miles athwart the equator. Mandated to the Japanese in 1920, the islands are studded with enemy fortifications. Land-based planes cannot reach them. But the Navy's floating airfields audaciously sail into striking range and deliver the blows that lead to invasion, to conquest. Like homing pigeons, the Hellcats and Corsairs return. Mission accomplished. Marcus Island has been worked over, but the flying sailors will be back. The carriers are nibbling at their prey, preparing for the kill. Pilots make their combat intelligence reports. This information is the blueprint for future assaults. After hard-hitting months at sea, the task force returns to base, to Pearl Harbor. "18 months ago, the scene of the most humiliating military catastrophe in the history of the United States. Today, Pearl Harbor is the mightiest of bases, sheltering an ever-expanding fleet, ever-increasing assault forces. And only minutes away is Honolulu, a light-hearted haven in the midst of war, an interlude for sailors between battles. Assault troops. They come from places like Kansas, Alabama, and Oregon. They're destined for places like Tarawa, Kwajalein, and Eniwetok. The names are worlds apart, but global strategy demands they be brought together. Tokyo lies 4,000 miles westward by sea. It cannot be reached unless these men first suffer and bleed and die on intervening coral atolls that block the way. The victor of the Battle of Midway, Admiral Spruance, is named Commander, Central Pacific Forces, by his chief, Admiral Nimitz. Under Spruance, powerful fast carrier forces sail from Pearl Harbor to test the possibilities of sustaining seaborne air power far from base, far from land support. The fleet is out to strike and stay. fast new Essex-class carriers bring air power where air power is needed, anywhere, anytime. Each of the 27,000-ton ships can be driven through the water at a speed that keeps pace with the fastest units in the fleet. The hours are long from battle to battle, and between their bouts with death, the ship's company and the pilots live and play as best they can. For the 2,500 sailors, the ship is a seagoing city, organized for the routine of day-to-day existence, as well as the requirements of war. The business of warships is war, and the task force speeds steadily toward the target, into battle. The islands to be seized are part of Micronesia, the tiny islands. Strategy for the coming conquest is explained to the men who must execute the plans. While Marines claw up the Solomon Islands in the South Pacific, while soldiers push northwestward on New Guinea in the Southwest Pacific, the carrier groups smash at enemy defenses in the Central Pacific, compelling him to split his forces, confusing him as to the main line of attack. The hour for action approaches. In the middle of nowhere, every sailor in every part of the ship prepares for the coming attack. In the general mess, ship's cooks break out special chow they have stowed away for moments like this. Tense, long moments before battle. None says, but all know, some shipmates, at ease today, will be dead or wounded tomorrow. Dawn and action come all too soon. It is later than they dare think. Carrier planes go in to bomb and strafe the target, and the ships unleash arsenals of shell fire at Tarawa and Macon, at Kwajalein and Eniwetok, at Majuro, At Roy and at Namur, sailors prepare the way for soldiers and Marines. No preparation can purge the landings of their terror. Japanese resistance makes an inferno of every beachhead, a hell of every shoreline. American troops are pushed to the limit of endurance, but they endure. Supply ships keep fighting ships at sea, in combat. Though hundreds of miles from Pearl Harbor, though thousands of miles from California, there is no lack of essential ammunition, food, materiel, fuel, to keep the enemy on the run, to give those in battle more than they need to fight their fight. Not only spearhead invasion, but they lend close support to ground troops when and where needed. Other carriers roam far afield to pound down such enemy bastions as Truk, a formidable fleet anchorage in the Central Pacific, an island the Japanese have encrusted with armament, aircraft, pilots, and soldiers in their attempt to dominate Micronesia. plane, squadron after squadron, group after group. The carriers hurl skyward young pilots who will help break the Japanese hold on the Central Pacific. 12 fast carriers, 100 planes to every ship, fighting Hellcats, dive-bombing Dauntlesses, Avengers armed with torpedoes, winged warcraft fill the sky. Into combat information centers come the first warnings of counterattack, and all hands know the carriers will be the major targets. Radar data is swiftly translated into symbols and precisely plotted. The meaning of plot and symbol is all too clear, all too simple. Enemy planes approaching. Fighter direction officers order out the carrier's combat air patrol to intercept the attackers, beat them off, shoot them down. Crucial, burning islands, other carrier planes bomb and strafe in close support of the guy on the ground, who is slugging it out with a rifle, a carbine, or perhaps a hand grenade, flamethrower, or bayonet. But it works. American soldiers, sailors, Marines, airmen, as a team, crack and then pulverize the Japanese and their defenses. Island after island falls, and the Japanese never give up until they die. But there are always a few survivors, too stunned to fight on, too broken to resist. Back from the battle come the wounded and maimed. Back to the carriers come the shattered and crippled. The planes and their pilots, the ships and their sailors, the landing troops have destroyed the Japanese in the Central Pacific. They have profoundly altered the course of World War II. They have torn over 800,000 square miles of Pacific Ocean area from the enemy. Tarawa, Kwajalein, Eniwetok, war. Tarawa, Kwajalein, Eniwetok, sacrifice. Tarawa, Kwajalein, Eniwetok, victory. Conquest of Micronesia. O God, we pray thee that the memory of our comrades fallen in battle be ever sacred in our hearts, and that the sacrifice which they have offered for our country's cause may be acceptable in thy sight. And may this sailor find repose with the plane in which he gave his life, that we might live. Into thy hands, O Lord, we commend the soul of thy servant departed, now called unto eternal rest, and we commit his body to the deep.